All right. So the video that I was gonna do today, I'm gonna do here in a second. But since the Kelsey news dropped, on top of the possibility of Cooper Cup maybe going on IR tomorrow, the idea behind this is if you drafted Travis Kelce, how do you deal with this? If you're in a league with someone who has Kelsey, how do you deal with this? So first and foremost, like my friends and family league, I have Travis Kelce. He was my first round draft pick. I got Darren Waller in sixth. So how I deal with this is I'm probably gonna have to put my money where my mouth is and put Sky Moore as my flex. Um, if you're in a league where you just had Travis Kelce alone, I'm going to be the guy to tell you, I told you so, because I've been telling everybody that you should probably be walking out of all your drafts with two tight ends, because at the end of your draft, there's some tight ends that have massive upside, and they're going to be the first guys that you throw away after they fail in week one. So if you had one of those guys, on your bench, you're probably just plugging him in, and you're just going like, well, it sucks, but this is fantasy football. So who knows what the hyperextension of the knee really means from a long-term perspective. But the other thing is that I've been talking about is he's 34 in October and Father Time is undefeated. So something like this could just linger throughout the season. So this isn't just a, hey, what do I do for week one? This is, I should be starting to plan ahead for a problem down the line. And that could even mean like right now, you should maybe be in a little bit of panic mode and seeing if there's anybody that's going to be trying to give you some type of discount on the guy, and can you pivot? So there's about 20 draftable tight ends, even in more casual, smaller leagues that should have been drafted. And some of them have different profiles for why you would draft two of these guys. So when we look towards the end, if you still have a Dalton Kincaid, who I talked about yesterday, on your roster, that's a guy that you want. Laporta, probably going to be a tight end or a number 3 option, maybe a number 2 option with Detroit. That's a guy that you could look at. Obviously, if Higbee's there because of the Cup news, here's a guy that you could throw a dart throw at. Might be able to get you to like 4 weeks if Cup goes on IR. Dalton Schultz could be the number 1 in Houston. Juwan Johnson is really should be rostered in all leagues. Legitimately could be the number 1 in New Orleans, depending on how things shake out. I know a lot of people like Olave. This is not me knocking Olave. It's just because Olave's skill set is not necessarily a possession receiver. That's just not exactly what he is. He pushes more deeper routes. And so like having a guy like Juwan Johnson, who could lead New Orleans in targets this year, as a sleeper, is a guy that you want to go look at. Cole Kmet, he should be rostered. However, the problem with Cole Kmet is going to be that like that offense in Chicago is going to be a low passing volume, even if he's the number 1, even if he can beat out DJ Moore for the number 1 target there. And then you have on top of that, the Justin Fields just doesn't look like a very accurate passer at this point. Chig's fine. Again, this is a guy that could theoretically lead the Tennessee in targets this year. Not going to be a high volume passing offense. Treylon Burks is still a question mark. Chig's probably going to act as the de facto number 3 in the offense. Potentially, again, he could be a guy that's just barely used as the number 2 tight end. That's what he profiled at last year, high efficiency, but probably not going to have the volume to go along with it. You're asking for a lot of things to break right. This is not a guy that I would want to start my season with as my tight end. It's a guy that I would draft and have him at the bottom of my bench. Obviously Gerald Everett's fine. Probably the number 4 or even 5 in what was going to be a high volume passing offense in San Diego. Jake Ferguson's a good dart throw. More than likely, we're going to say probably the number 4 option in Dallas, but Dalton Schultz, was a fine number 4 option in Dallas last year. So, to take Jake Ferguson late, that's fine. Luke Musgrave should probably be rostered in all leagues at the bottom of benches. If you had him and you have Kelce, well, what do? You're saying, I'm going to put my money where my mouth is, and I'm going to start Luke Musgrave. Dolchis, probably went from being a darling to not being rosterable at this point. He's not even the starting tight end. The only thing that makes Dolchich look good in Denver is the fact that they just need to throw to somebody, and he might be it. And there's a couple other guys. Hayden Hurst may be the number one target guy in Carolina for whatever that's worth. And then you have some really deep dart throws in like a Cade Otton, and there's a couple other guys. A guy I would throw out there if I didn't already pass him is Hunter Henry, because we just don't know who's going to be the number one target guy in New England at this point, and it could be Hunter Henry. Almost anybody who's the number one in any offense has fantasy value, so it could be him. Now, I'm sure there's other guys way down here that I'm probably missing on, but whatever. So if we go to ESPN and you're in more of a casual type redraft league, what we're looking at is the number, the fall off of where it is. Like, obviously you're looking for Dalton Kincaid. He should be rostered in all leagues. Once you get by him, your best bet, in certain leagues, if you need a guy with higher upside, that might have to be your guy that goes the whole season. You're looking at a Juwan Johnson, who I own in my league with where I have Kelce and what's his nuts, Waller. And then you still have Jake Ferguson. Like I said, Luke Musgrave should be rostered in all leagues because legitimately could run that Green Bay offense with targets this year. Not if you're wondering about Michael Mayer, the reason why I don't like him is not because of his talent. The number one there is going to be Devontae Adams. I don't know how good the offense is going to be, and it just becomes an issue of like, even if he's the number one tight end, how much is he's going to be targeted? He's probably fine. There are just better options this year. So anyway, that's kind of what I have going on with what to do with the Kelce situation. If you're in a league and you see the team with Kelce and you have one of these backup tight ends, maybe you could get a 1-for-1 lottery swap. Like I said, my league, where I have Waller, I also have Kincaid. I'm not particularly interested in trying to trade Kincaid to this team. He'd have to give me something interesting because I just don't think for the value that Kincaid has right now versus what I think he could be. I just don't think the deal can get done. There's certain other guys that maybe I could do a better 1-for-1 swap. Like I said, if right now the guy that I would be more targeting in leagues is Sky Moore. That's the guy, even though technically a lot of times targets that are vacated tend to go to running backs. So, this also could have a potential issue with making Jerick McKinnon more valuable or CEH more valuable. Those targets are probably not going to go to Isaiah Pacheco. That's just not how he profiles. And then the other guy people wonder about maybe is Noah Gray, and there are better options in the short term, because the big issue with Noah Gray is not that I don't like him as a prospect. It's just how the Kansas City offense will change and evolve if Kelce goes down for a long time. It may not be an apples to apples swap. It may be closer to an apples to oranges swap. And there are guys out there already that could profile to be the number one in their offense. And right now, if Kelce goes down, if I had to guess, the number one is going to be Sky Moore. And Noah Gray would move down the pecking order to probably the number 2 at best, if not 3 or 4, if he's the guy. So anyway, that's about all I got on this one. And then I'll do the one that I was going to do on Sean Tucker here afterwards.